Hi everyone and welcome back to globalheadwinds.com, where we try to make sense of the shifting sands shaping our world. Today let me take you on a journey across a continent that once stood proud and unshakable, Europe, especially Western Europe. A continent that since the end of the Second World War believed that the nightmare of war on its soil was over once for all. But as we reach the fag end of 2025, the truth is unsettling. Europe hasn't been this vulnerable in almost 80 years. Let's start with the paradox at the heart of Europe's struggle. On one hand, it still depends on Russian oil and gas to keep its homes warm every winter. On the other, its leaders remain locked in a cold war of words and sanctions with Vladimir Putin over the continuing conflict in Ukraine. They are also complicit in the ruling of the International Criminal Court to declare Putin as a war criminal and issue arrest warrants against him. It's a relationship that's part addiction, part animosity, and it is tearing Europe's strategic confidence apart. Now, while there is no clear indication that Putin is ready to expand his ambitions beyond Ukraine, the signs are worrying. Repeated airspace violations, close encounters between Russian jets and NATO aircraft, each one a quiet test, a reminder from Moscow that the bear hasn't gone into hibernation.
Lithuania's President Gitanas Nausėda announced as he participated in the EU leaders' summit in Brussels that 2 Russian military aircraft violated his country's airspace on Thursday. The aircraft, identified as an Su-30 fighter jet and Il-78 refueling aircraft, were thought to be executing a training mission when they breached the border. Lithuanian officials say the 2 planes were recorded to have entered Lithuanian airspace around 4 p.m. local time.
I strongly condemn the violation of Lithuanian airspace recently by the fighter jet and transport plane of Russian Federation from Kaliningrad region side. This is cruel violation of international law and territorial sovereignty of Lithuania, and we have to react to this.
The incident comes as European heads of states gather to discuss continental security. Lithuania, a NATO member, has been wary after multiple European countries reported unidentified drone sightings across their skies in recent weeks. Many NATO countries in the region have accused the Kremlin of perpetrating these violations and have vowed to bolster their defenses to counter the threats.
For Europe's military planners, these provocations are more than just blips on radar. They are warnings. And then there's the United States, the cornerstone of NATO and safety net of Europe for decades. But under President Trump's unpredictable leadership, that safety net seems somewhat uncertain. If the Russian forces ever pushed further west into Eastern Europe again, would the United States really step in as decisively as before? No one in Brussels, Berlin, or Paris can say for sure. Because without the US, the Europe's defenses look alarmingly thin. Let's be honest. It's America's weapons and dollars that have kept the Ukraine standing this long. Washington has poured in around $128 billion in aid, with more than half of it, roughly around $70 billion, going straight into the military support. Yet even with that help, over 20% of Ukraine's territory remains under Russian control. So the question lingers, when will this war truly stop? And when it does, what will be Putin's next move? The latest sanctions on Russia's top oil companies might slow his war chest, but they won't break it. And even if a ceasefire comes tomorrow, who can guarantee Putin won't open another front somewhere else in Europe? That's the haunting uncertainty that keeps European strategists awake at night. Look at the continent's military map. It's a patchwork of weakness. France, once Europe's proud military heavyweight, is now entangled in internal political divides that stall clear decisions making. Britain's armed forces, once formidable, are now more a shadow of what they were even in the 1980s. Germany, Europe's richest economy, still hesitates to modernize its military decisively. Italy and Nordic countries maintain decent forces, But let's face it, without NATO, they stand little chance against Russia's battle-hardened troops. So take out the United States out of the equation, and what remains? A fragile Europe, wealthy, modern, but militarily hollow. Many may dismiss this alarmism, calling it global headwinds doomsday theory. But history has taught us one thing. Wars often begin when the world least expects them. And right now the Russians know exactly where Europe's weak spots lies. Those airspace incursions, they are not random. They are deliberate reminders of who's watching whom. In a strange way, the ongoing war in Ukraine is buying Europe time. As long as Putin's attention is fixed there, the rest of Europe can breathe uneasily, but safely. Because one thing is certain, the Russians never forget. They still dream of the Soviet glory days when the Iron Curtain stretched across the Eastern Europe and Moscow's shadow loomed over the continent. So the real question isn't just about when the war ends. It's about whether Europe will be ready militarily and politically for what might come next. If you found this episode thought-provoking, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to globalheadwinds.com, because understanding the storm is the first step towards surviving it.